So you think it's no big deal if by chance, we just leave the babies to bawl on an airplane? Well, maybe you should think about some people who got into big trouble trying to, when their relaxation got disturbed. And it just doesn't sound fair that they had to lose it all to some person like that. And I want you to listen real carefully to what we're trying to point out. The picture on the left does show a baby bawling, as you can see. And all these lines you see around it indicate that it's heard. You can hear a lot of that. It's sound, just like you'd hear anywhere else. And that's kind of the way sound is indicated. Then, if you take a look at the picture on the top, you'll see somebody who was well relaxed and then was disturbed by a sudden personal problem that broke out all over the cabin of the plane. And I think that's kind of unfair that people would do such a thing. I mean, look at this guy. He's really upset. A lot of all this stuff you see up here on the top, that's how people symbolize the writing of swear words, especially because they say bad things about people's religion sometimes. That's kind of the way it goes. I mean, somebody would shout the backwards version of Mad Dog, which would, or maybe even like some really nasty shoutings too, that could kind of make everybody look at them. And that doesn't look good. I mean, I don't think that's fair. And take a look at the picture on the right. This is another thing that can happen if somebody's relaxation is suddenly disturbed by somebody's helpless personal problems. Do you see what I mean? A lot of people could very easily end up slamming their hand down on the tray by doing that. And how do you think that makes it look in the airlines? This black and white striped person silhouette indicates that there's an awful lot of shame going on. There's gotten to be more people on the no-fly list because of that. And that's kind of what this means. And with this at stake, we got a big problem. And I don't think they like having to pull people into their offices consistently at the airport, having to talk with them. It's just not fair that, someone's helpless noise gets out of hand and then causes everybody else to blow it. Right here in this picture, you could see how well people are doing in being able to succeed and do right. And then you got different time points and such. It takes an awful lot to be able to earn your airplane ride, as you can see. And it just kind of keeps going up the ladder like that. And then, just think about how much it means to someone when it comes to having to change, to getting their train of thought prepared. I mean, once their airplane ride is earned, their train of thought takes time. And see, look at how much time it takes to progress and do well. That's an awful lot. So one's personal problem, like the noise, just ends up causing a bad fall like you see on the red line here. And I think that's kind of unfair. I mean, maybe you should think about how it would feel if all your progress was destroyed by someone's helpless noise. I mean, you should give that some thought. I mean, looking here at this picture with that one kitty song, the Itsy Bitsy Spider, just think about it. I mean, if you've probably noticed how it's climbing up the water spout, and then the rain comes down and washes the spider out, and then eventually the sun comes out and dries up all the rain, and so eventually the spider goes up the spout again. I mean, a lot of people can feel confident. They'll try again, but let me tell you something. It takes a terribly long time to regain from a loss to a personal thing, don't you see? You gotta realize it. A lot of people, when those interludes and personal problems get out of hand, it blows it for everyone. And I think it's just kind of unfair that they have to do extra work just to try and avoid it out or try to get things to work better. Now, this new device we have right here, it's called the Voice Off Headband. It comes in all different sizes. You can adjust it to help fit the person very easily. Why don't you go ahead and pause the YouTube for just a minute and then tell me what you finished reading. Great job. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you took the time to read it. It's very helpful. It could eradicate at least 95% of the noises that go on the plane that aren't supposed to. And now, if you take a look at this situation, the baby, yes, is bawling right here. But, as you can see, you can't hear it because the headband, they're wearing it and it's turned on, and all you see is the yellow light flashing. And with the yellow light flashing, that kind of helps make it a lot easier so that we can kind of hear what we're doing, or we can think of our own train of thought. Usually at night, the yellow light might kind of be seen all over the plane, but it's not nearly as disturbing as somebody's helpless noise, if you see what I mean. The blue light that you see see on there is actually just in case the baby's happy and having quite a time. The blue light is steady, and that just kind of gives them the freedom to blab as long as nobody hears it. And up here on the right, you see how people are relaxed, see how the passengers able to think of some music and just kind of enjoy the ride. Here's one even able to actually draw or do things. Most people read, but it's always nice to do some drawing even when you're grown up. And the medal shows just how good you've been to the others, thinking about their feelings. That's one thing you've got to always keep in mind. Now, this pie chart, as you can see, shows how much of the noise is really existing. Right here, 50% of it does happen to be babies bawling or blabbing. It's really called crying, but thing of it is, because the way a baby cries is very loud, it's referred to as bawling, which is the loud cry, the consistent blabbing, You gotta also keep in mind that pressure in the cabin of a plane, air pressure does kind of tend to get very low. It does seem irritating on someone who's got a vulnerability pain, but you need to also keep in mind that the blabbing and the bawling, is carried easily because, sound carrying through low pressure is easily carried if it's louder than 15 decibels. 25% of it has to do with the children bawling consistently, and I'll tell you one thing, a lot of people are getting pretty tired of it. And then the last 25% has to do with people with disability who incessantly shout out or get pervasive with repeating things or start getting arrogant or bawl out loud. It just doesn't sound good. I mean, it might seem a little discriminating for the person of disability, but we've got no choice. If we don't do it, we'll just get into trouble. So therefore, now I want you to listen carefully. It is not acceptable under any circumstances to tell somebody that they have to be responsible for voiding out somebody else's noise. Headphones and earplugs do not void out bawling baby or blabbing baby or bawling children or any helpless noises out of a person of disability. That's not the way they're made. Just ask any audiologist and they'll tell you that for a fact. Matter of fact, anybody who just thinks that someone can't fly just because they can't handle the noises, they should be on the no-fly list for sure. And they should be held responsible for anybody getting in trouble in the airlines. So therefore, there is nothing that substitutes for the voice-off headband. It's going to be worn there if the plane does not provide a room for babies and children and people of disability, and that is that. And you will use this at all times. You'll leave it on at all times during the flight. In fact, the line sign will be up, and it'll have a bawling picture with a slash through it, just like it has a smoking picture. So that means you will be told to use your indoor voice, and if you have someone, baby, child, or person of disability, you will keep that headband on at all times to train them how to use their indoor voice. It will stay on the whole time the flight is going, and that means it's the only way to help them keep their indoor voice. When they get older, things change, and then they do better. And I think we know that pretty well.